Hey guys, it's Digos back again with another video. Looking for a win this time in our series of 10-minute games, and we're playing against as black with the black pieces against Wang for A, and that is a flag I don't think I've ever seen before. I don't even know what to guess. I'm gonna guess like Balkans, like Montenegro, Gibraltar. Okay, at least it's the same continent, right? Europe. But that's a tough one. I've never seen that flag. Is Gibraltar its own country? I'm not sure. I'll have to search that up later. But we're going to the exchange French. Yep, and our opponent played this move, which is cool. So we could play bishop d6, but then again we drop this pawn. I've played c6 in the past. Maybe this move's a bit better. I've played c6 in the past. Usually that turns out all right-ish. And I kind of want to get this bishop onto d6 eventually, so I think that's how we're gonna get it done. We're gonna play c6 and then play bishop d6. Again, yes, I think we played this very similar thing in the previous game before, where we did have c6 after knight c3, and the engine doesn't like it too much, but well, I'm sure it's playable. Okay, cool. So we can go ahead and develop all our pieces like this. If we go to f6, he does have this pin. Could be slightly annoying. As we just develop. I'm not too scared, I guess. Let's go ahead and do it. What's the worst that can happen? If he pins us, I mean, we'll just develop our pieces, put the queen on c7 probably. No more pin. It's easy as that. Right? Our opponent played bishop to e2, which is really interesting. I don't think that's like the craziest move. But that's what he played, so I don't know. We could play bishop over here. I'm a little scared because our king is still in the center of the board, so I just want to make sure he doesn't have any like funny checks. But if he tries to open anything up and we take here and tries to put in a check in the middle, we can just back up to e4, so we should be safe. I don't think I want to risk it though, but if I castle, I also don't want him to come onto like his bishop onto this square, because right here it's very passive. It's blocking his rook, so I like it on that square. I think I'm going to go ahead with bishop f5. Let's see, if he plays this, I'll go ahead and take. And I think, yeah, against any check, we should just have a backup and we should be all good. But yeah, I'd love to castle, get knight d7 played in. We could play queen here. Maybe there is an open file in the center of the board, so we might have to play through that. We'll see how that works. It would be nice to get like a knight in the center of the board. Like put this knight onto e4, and then this knight on d7 will come into f6 and protect it like that. That'd be pretty cool. I cannot lie. But we'll see what my opponent does here. If he does play something like rook e1, I think we have to immediately castle. I don't want to risk any funny discovery business with this piece. Another thing he could do. Okay, so he does do this. I'll go ahead and take. And he takes a look at the queen. Now, I think I will have to castle, which is not a problem. I'll just castle. Easy as that. Our king is safe. Both of us have one piece that's still left to develop. He goes ahead and pins my knight. No worries. I think I can just play this move, and then maybe put a queen over here, and then contest this open file. Makes sense. So yep, I'll go ahead and do this. So if he ever takes here, I could just put the knight. So that works out fine. And I'd love to also just play queen c7 just to break this pin, right? There he goes. He goes ahead to contest this this open file. So right now he has it. If we play something like rook e1, he can take. I take back with my queen, and then he just puts this rook over here. So it's defended by the knight. So he's going to end up getting the open file. So if we play queen c7 right now and he tries to double up rooks, let's say he plays rook e2, and then we play like maybe this rook over, and then he doubles rooks. It could be interesting, but I think maybe we have to take there. Maybe we should take then. I don't know. I'm going to play this right now. Maybe we can also try to tease this guy out, this bishop out, so that we can take back with this piece. But you know, we don't know yet. But both sides have all their pieces developed. We have the slightly better bishop in that, well, his bishop could be blocked by like this pawn, the center pawn, so it can be a bit tough for my opponent to maneuver this bishop onto the other side of the board. But our bishop can go through our pawns because they're on light squares. We have a dark square bishop instead. So that's something. I wonder what this is doing here. That's interesting. We could just put our piece into the center of the board, and I'm sure that's a great idea for us. I mean, right? If he goes here, I guess I would... No, I'd probably take this, he takes back, and then we could just put this knight over here, and everything is all good and safe. I guess he gets this square in, so maybe we should play g6 instead. But if we do play here, and he backs up to, like, let's say, this square, what do we do then? Good question. That's a pretty good question, isn't it? It would be nice to maybe like make some counterplay here, so if he takes back here, we take, but he has this free pawn that he could take eventually. So I don't know how well that works out. But I think putting a piece here is for sure a good idea. We could also eventually maybe just play like f5. So if he ever takes like this, we could just take back with this pawn, and all of a sudden we're creating a semi-open file on this side of the board. And f5 also helps us open up this this rook. My opponent could try to do something like this move in the future. That would be cool, because if he is able to make me take this, then all of a sudden my knight is hanging. And also, this, if we play f5, this diagonal is going to be opened up. Not the rook, but this diagonal is going to be opened up. So if he could try to open this diagonal up even more, maybe his queen could find a nice home. Lots of interesting ideas. But yeah, we're here right now. Knight's looking at this. Very interesting. Okay, he goes ahead and plays that move. I think if I take here, go take a look at the knight, and then I can play g6 to stop this mate. And this also makes sure that he can't play something interesting like knight onto f5. But another thing we could do is just play this move right away. And that would be really interesting as well. I think I'm going to do this, because if he ever takes here, I would love to take with this pawn. I would love to take with this pawn. I would absolutely love to take with this pawn. But this does weaken this e6 square. So if we do take here, and he takes back, we got to be safe about this square, because he does have ideas of a fork. So maybe instead of taking here first, we would have to play something like h6. It's a little scary, because we're opening a lot of things up, but it is what it is, right? But we're making our opponent think, which is always a good sign. Our opponent is thinking. I do not recommend taking from him at all. If he plays something like c5, what do we do? What do we do? I'm thinking about moves like h6 for sure. Of course, if he goes back to h4 with his bishop, I have g5, which will result in a win. Or not a win, but we'll be winning some material, which is always very nice. So I can't expect him to go to h4. I could expect him to go to e3, but then we have this pin as well. Or not pin, but a fork. Yeah, if we play this, then we're forking this bishop and the knight. If he tries to take our knight here, we just take back the knight, I think. And then we're attacking his queen. But he does have this in-between move with his check. But he just did block this diagonal up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and play my h6. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. This is very interesting. Because now if he does go to e3, we have this fork. If he takes over here, if he takes our knight with his knight, we take back with the pawn, attacking his queen. His queen has to decide what he wants to do, and then we can take this other piece, his bishop, with our pawn. So we've got some ideas cooking. Very cool. He goes all the way back. No worries. Let's see. What can we do here? We could take, or not take, but move this knight over here. Actually, that might drop this pawn. That's not the best idea, is it? I don't want to drop this pawn. If we play this move, he just takes over here. That's not great. He takes back. We get this rook over here, but it's not looking too great. If we take over here, his queen isn't under danger, but he can just take this. And then after we back up, he can take over here. And then it gets all ugly and everything. Something we could do is just move our king over, kind of like as an not an in-between, prophylaxis, just so he doesn't have any checks in the future. So if we do this, and then we take, he takes, then we can bring like a knight in through here as well. And that would be pretty interesting. And in fact, I think that might be what I'm leaning towards. So I'm going to go ahead and just play king h8. King h8, it's a very quiet move, but I'm just getting my king off this diagonal because I feel like things are about to open up, right? So yeah, if he does take here, I love that. I love that. I hope he does that. I would love to open up this rook onto this file right here. Especially since if I take back with this pawn, it's going to be attacking this knight, which means the knight has to budge. That would be pretty awesome. We'll see if that actually happens. Most likely it won't, but we can always, like, dream, right? Something interesting my opponent might have is knight h4 coming onto this square. He did think about that one. He did think that through. Let's see. Going for this weak square. And it is a weak square for sure. Actually, this pawn is also weak now that I think about it. If I take here, he gives me a check. And I go here. If he takes this, ooh, are we in some trouble? I hope not. I sure hope not. I guess we could take here as well, but then if he gives us a check, we back. Oh, we play this move, but then he takes over here with check. I take back. It's all a bit messy now, isn't it? I guess one thing we could do is take here. Make his queen come here. And if he does this, then we can play this move, I guess. Maybe force him here, but I need to save this piece, save this thing as well. This is a bit tough, isn't it? If we play this and he takes over here, we win this pawn. And if he takes with this knight, I wonder if we can take this, because if he takes here, we give him a check, and if he goes to h1, we have this fork. But if he goes to this square, it's a bit more complicated. So if I go king h7, he takes over here, I attack my rook. I give him this check, he goes to this square. It's certainly complicated now. I don't know. I don't know how much I like that. I'm going to go ahead and take here. Actually, if he does take with this queen, we could take this piece. But I'm in a little danger. If he gives me this check, I think I should be completely fine. I just play here, and his queen and knight are both in danger. I'd love that. We'll see what my opponent does, though. Okay, he does play that. I'll go ahead and do this. Oh, wait. He can take with check. Guys, he can take with check. Maybe I should play king g8 then. Should have played king g8. I'm going to go ahead and take with this piece, so this is still protected. See if we can make something happen still. But I think we might have made a slight mistake. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, maybe king g8 was better. But then king g8, and he takes this with check, so maybe it was just problematic in general. Anyways, I could take over here, and then if he takes back with the pawn, I guess I could take here, he takes back, and then we take with this piece. But I don't feel like we have much of an attack brewing. I think I'm going to play this move here first. We do give this pawn, but I mean, I always like to give this check. It would be nice. It could be dangerous, though. It really could be dangerous. Opening up this diagonal, but we shall see. We will see for sure what happens. My opponent is also getting low on time, so that's something that is going good in our way. That's going in our way. He still can't take this pawn, or else he loses this bishop, and that'd be very sad for him. You'd lose he'd lose a lot of his advantage for sure. There is this hanging pawn, but we have bishop takes h2 check. And if he goes to this square, it's actually checkmate right here. Okay, he goes ahead and takes that. I think I'm going to go check here first. And then I'll take back. If he does this, that would be interesting. Because I take back, he takes over here. Yeah, this is interesting. I'll go over here just so he doesn't have any checks in the middle. But it's still very scary. He goes over here, which makes sense. Technically, we're up a pawn, but I wouldn't be completely sure. But I think actually, if I am able to trade some things off, it would be pretty good for me. So for example, if he takes this, I'd love to take this over here. Okay, he goes ahead and puts some pressure on this, which is fine. I could play this move to solidify this, but he does have b3, which is a bit annoying. I think I'm going to take. He takes with that piece, fine. And let's see, I want to get my piece more active, so let's go ahead and play this move. Threatening some things. We could put our queen onto this square. So I will. Why not? And now I think let's play this square. This move. This is going to be an interesting game. He does give up this pawn. I think I'm going to take it. Yep, I'm going to take that. My opponent is very low on time, and he does blunder this. Check with a fork. Let's see. If I give him a check here, I don't think that's the best move. I'm just going to take this, and this should be simple enough. He goes ahead and takes there. I'm going to take with the rook over here, threatening stuff, a lot of stuff. He gives me this check, which I'm not too worried about. He goes there, okay. If we do the check, queen takes, I take, king takes, we have a lot of pawns. I think I'm going to go into it. Let's start bringing this king over. This should be a winning endgame for us, because we also have these two passed pawns. So let's start pushing these, and let's bring our king over. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's make sure we take this. and en passant. And then let's promote a queen, another queen, and let's figure out how to get this through. Okay, he also ran out of time, but we were able to clutch up over there. Finally, it's been a really long time since I have won on time against a player. But that was a fun game. It seems that we were in we did have the advantage most of the time, but there was a portion where it felt like we were kind of losing a few pawns with this knight h4 move, and it was a little scary. So I will for sure want to look at that. And of course, the engine says that I had one mistake, so we got to check that out over here. So we played this. C6 is good. It's okay. Best move apparently, yeah, this move, which sort of just transposes, but we did all this. This happens. Bishop f5 is okay. We take, he takes, castles. All fine. In fact, we have the slightest bit of an advantage. I don't know why. It's probably because of the bishops, right? I'm pointing that out in the game itself as well. But yeah, he goes ahead, knight e2. So I go ahead and jump in for immediately. He plays this, and I play f5, which is okay. It's good. Apparently, the best move was h6 first. That's interesting. The computer has a note saying that this creates space for the king to move in case it's attacked. That note is nothing. That's BS. That's not exactly why h6 is being played. It's because we're probably attacking the bishop somewhere, putting it somewhere. Look at the line. Let's. Of course, if he goes to this square, we're just gonna play g5 and be happy. If he goes bishop d2, which is I feel like a bit more expected, we just play knight d to f6. We don't need to play f5, which weakens our structure a lot. f5 not only weakens this e6 square, which is what we pointed out, it actually weakens this g6 square, which is what we saw in the game, especially after like knight h4. So that was a bit of a problem. So we could have just completely avoided that with this knight d to f6 move, and we have a very strong knight. If you just take back, I guess I take here. It'd be nice for us to take back with a pawn, but that's just hope chess. He's not forced to take the knight then. But yeah, this is still fine. But what we played also apparently is good enough. So we did this. He plays this. I played h6, which is it's very weakening. We have a lot of weaknesses in our structure. And then we played king h8, which lets him get into h4. So I'm guessing apparently we should have played this move over here, knight d to f6. That's the best move. But I just want to think about why. Like, let's look at some lines here. C takes d5. That's believable. Oh, we don't take back here. I mean, you can take back, and it's probably not too bad. But you take here, and this is very forcing, right? I mean, we just took his piece, so he has to take it back. There's not really anything else he can do. So if he takes off the knight, that's kind of sad. Very sad, in fact. Just a very sad piece. What is the knight doing on the square? So he can take back with the queen. But if he takes back with the queen, we take here with the knight. He has an isolated pawn, and we have a knight right in front of it. There is no, nobody's kicking this knight away. This pawn is still protected, and we've got really strong pieces. So we could eventually start playing bishop f4 and then double up, and we're going to be playing. We have the initiative. So it does say that white is slightly for choice, but he has the weaker pawn structure. We have a better minor piece, which is the bishop, and it's perfectly placed, looking at both sides of the board. It's very interesting. We actually played this move, which is a bit of a problem, and it's because of this move. We took over here. He gives us this check. We should not have played king h7. Yeah, this is where it starts to get really risky. And actually, apparently, according to the engine, this is not completely equal, but it's like white has a very slight edge. And this edge, this 0.3 plus 0.3, is the same edge as in the very beginning game, the starting position. So this is nothing to be scared of, actually. And now that the engine runs, it actually says king h7 is better. So, I mean, I'm not going to count that as an inaccuracy then. But he takes here, I take with the rook. He plays queen c2, and I play knight d to f6, and we've got really strong pieces, I guess, in the center of the board. His bishop is not looking too hot. His queen is also in a very passive position. But he takes over here. I give him that check. He goes to h1. I take with the knight, and we're threatening checkmate in one right here, right now. Rook takes e4 is brilliant. That's very brilliant for sure. But after this, it's not a losing endgame, but especially after this, it's not a losing endgame, but now it is, because we have bishop f4 to force the trades, and we're up a pawn, and we might be able to convert it. So that's very interesting. He should have played this move. He does drop this pawn, but this entire thing gets really risky now, all of a sudden. Apparently, like queen e8, check. He goes, I go up, and then bishop e3 should be played, I guess. And then we would take this piece, and maybe eventually it kind of leads into a perpetual. So like after this, he has queen e4 check. And if I go to g8 or h8, of course, it's the same perpetual. If we go here, though, he still has queen e8, apparently. And of course, if our queen ever leaves the square, it's just a perpetual. So we're kind of just stuck. We could take with the bishop. But he has rook f1 trying to come in and just start winning. But then we just play rook h2. He does this. Bishop f2 is apparently the best move. If he takes, I mean, I can see if he takes with the rook. I mean, I can see like some sort of perpetual, like through here. But if he takes with the bishop, what do we do? We have rook h3, and this apparently holds it together because we're threatening rook g3. And if this bishop takes, we take with the queen, and then it's a perpetual on this side of the board. It's very interesting. Lots of perpetuals going on. So it was still drawn, but he missed that move. I want to see, like, is rook takes e4 really that brilliant? I want to see, like, what else did he have? Apparently he had bishop b4. And yeah, this makes sense because he's attacking a rook. He's also defending this pawn at the same time. So we have to kind of save this rook. We can play rook e8, but then he's still going to play g3, and this piece is still locked up. So after something like this, we do have 3 passed pawns. So we're down the exchange. Actually, we're not down the exchange. We're just down a full rook. But it's very interesting because we're threatening things like this and just bringing this rook in then. And this is very interesting. And this kind of position would require much further thought. Apparently the best move would be queen g2 check, or queen g2. But after like this, and if he goes to g2, I guess, what is it seeing? Rook e6 and bring this over. Bring another piece into the attack. And actually now we're winning. So this is very interesting. For sure. Yeah. So apparently he didn't have to sack this rook, but he did. And then after this, we were able to trade off this bishop, which is good. He took with the queen, which is very interesting. If he takes the pawn, at least it supports this pawn, so it's not as weak. And actually, it can be pretty hard for us to win this as ourselves. But I'll probably play queen f7 and try to target this weakness over here on e3. But yeah, it's going to be hard. There's no lying about that. But he took with the queen. And then we play queen f7, which we're attacking, defending at the same time. He goes ahead and defends. I play queen d5, which is apparently a mistake. I should have brought this rook onto the open file, which makes it much more active. Makes sense. But queen d5 is not too bad. And it's the second best move. It's not that bad. Calm down, engine. We play here. He does that. I go ahead and play b5, which kind of just solidifies this entire structure. It's not very solid because if you ever play something like this, and if we take the tail of this pawn chain thing goes away. But he does that. He didn't see b3. He does this, and then we just kind of just start winning. That's just a very easy win then. But yeah, this was a very fun game. From the French Defense Exchange variation, usually it's very drawish, and it was kind of drawish, but then me making a lot of weaknesses in my pawn structure made it a very interesting game. And then, of course, the piece and balance and everything, and apparently, according to the engine, it was still all equal. So, very interesting. But we were able to defeat our opponent in this kind of position. So, yeah. It's a very fun, well-fought position. But I think that should be it for this video. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.